Unfortunately, our original speaker, Major General David Baldwin, is unable to be here because he is ill with bronchitis. And as a typical Major General that's a paratrooper, he is pushing his health to the limit. But joining us today is a great Riverside friend, and I think this is very exciting, is the former commander of the 163rd Reconnaissance Wing located right here at March Air Reserve Base. We are proud to announce his reassignment as Assistant Adjutant General Air to Major General Baldwin. What that means, ladies and gentlemen, is may I introduce Brigadier General Select Randal R. Ball. Sir.
My first day in Sacramento was Monday. I was the wing commander in function up till Sunday. So I reported to work on Monday, and yesterday the Adjutant General's aide-de-camp came in and said, "The Adjutant General's sick, we need you to step in." I said, "Great, where am I going?" "Riverside." So I guess the theme this morning is it is tough to leave Riverside. Well, the TAG does regret not being able to be here. He is the strongest advocate I've ever seen for community relations. He really gets it as far as the military affairs committees, the chambers, everything that you do as a community to influence legislation that affects the military. And he's been a great instructor, if you will, or mentor to show us how to much better outreach to our community and leverage your ability to talk to the legislators, because in a uniform, I can't do that. I can't go to a legislator and say, "I need you to advocate for something," but you all do that, and I'm proud to say that he's teaching that lesson very well to us. What I'd like to do just real briefly is give you kind of an update on the Air National Guard, the California Air National Guard. I can't speak for Colonel Mahaney, the commander for the reserves at March, so I'll kind of stay away from his issues, but there are some things that are going on at March Air Reserve Base that on the Air National Guard side that I'd like to kind of just briefly touch on here this morning. If you're watching the news yesterday or the Pentagon channel, you would have seen that the President Obama's 2014 fiscal year budget was presented to Congress. That's $527 billion. That's up a slight percentage over 2013, which is $525 billion. But 2013 was really $493 billion because of sequestration. It's a flat budget increase, a very small budget increase, which is okay, because you as American taxpayers want to see us be more efficient in the DoD. And there are a lot of efficiencies to be taken, especially with winding down out of Afghanistan. So as an Air National Guard commander, I would tell you that this is probably a good thing for March, as it is a reserve base. And if you all know, have probably seen the studies that a reservist or a guardsman is 1/3 the cost of an active duty member. And we do about 40% of the Air Force mission on about 7% of the budget. So as we look at this budget winding down, there may be some really good equities that come to the reserve and the Guard through this process. But along with good news, unfortunately, comes a little bad news. One is that sequestration is still in effect in 2013, and if it is in 2014, it will reduce that $527 billion budget by $52 billion. And that's, as they say in D.C., significant money. That will cause restructuring of the forces, restructuring of personnel, and will have wide-ranging impact, not just on the Air Force, but on the DoD. Also, and I hate to, sit up here and tell you bad news, but some of the language in this proposal for the 2014 budget also includes readdressing base realignment closure for 2015. And you as a community have seen that here at March. We in California have seen 5 of our bases, Air Force bases, closed over the last 20 years. Not something we want to see. You as a community, again, through your legislators, can affect how March Air Reserve Base is treated in this next round, if it comes around. Well, back to 2013, you've all seen that sequestration has had effects, and March is no difference. We've been actually fairly lucky. The furloughs you've read about for federal technicians is happening, Luckily, it's been put off to the right a little bit. Will now start in June. But if you can feel a little bit of the pain at March, the commander, Colonel Bill Mahaney, who's in charge of running the place, is now going to have to take a day off from his leadership duties, unpaid. And I'm sure he would tell you the pay is not the issue, the leadership's the issue. 4 days instead of 5 days running one of the most vibrant bases in the U.S. So there are furloughs across the board. It's not just Colonel Mahaney. Many of the federal service technicians are being affected. Hopefully this is going to be solved for the next FY. Sequester will go away. We hope Congress will act on that. You've probably seen that the flying hours have been affected as well. Yesterday, beginning of this week, 12 fighter bomber squadrons stood down, became essentially non-mission capable, and that is not a good place for our military to be, as you can imagine. $300 million savings, that's good, but that's what they had to do to meet the budget requirements. But in reality, in the long term, it's going to take twice that to get those units back up to mission ready. The good news on the flying hour program is that March has not been affected. You know, we have F-16s out there. It's a detachment from Fresno, and they, because of the priority of their mission, alert mission, defending the sovereign airspace, they have not been affected. My old unit, the 163rd Flying Predators, is funded through a different source, so they are able to not have any disruptions in their ability to perform the mission as well. And I don't believe that the reserves were affected. However, I'm not in the reserves, so I can't tell you that. But Colonel Mahaney said at the MAC meeting last week that they were still doing okay. Talking about the March missions a little bit, the 163rd is still flying 2 CAPs. A CAP is a combat air patrol, essentially a mission 24/7 in Afghanistan. We're doing 2 of those, or I shouldn't say we. The 163rd is flying those, and will through 2014, and then they'll reduce down to 1 CAP. They also have a schoolhouse that teaches the pilots, the sensor operators, intelligence controllers, and maintenance folks how to maintain and fly the Predator. That brings a significant issue that we've had in front of Congressman Takano last week. Have you been reading the FAA is having to close towers because they don't have the money to pay the manning to man all of the towers that they need to. Well, one of them is the one at Southern California Logistics Airport, the old George Air Force Base, and that's where we launch our Predators for our training missions. So we have several options we're presenting. We're trying to make sure that we're limiting the damage, but you know, it affects the mission here at March for that schoolhouse if we cannot continue to fly out of there. Congressman Takano is on board. He's already contacted Representative Cook, it's his district. So we're making progress there, but it is a concern for the longevity of the 163rd. 144th, the Fresno Det, is flying F-16s. The good news is that they are actually coming out of all of these budget thrashes in really great shape. They are converting to F-15s. Starting in July this year, the F-16s will starting to go down to the Boneyard in Tucson, and you'll see F-15s coming on, and by November of next year, you'll see them full up in the F-15 here at March and at Fresno. Some of the future concerns, well, obviously the 144th is good all the way out through 2025, flying the F-15. The 163rd, though, is probably going to need a little help, probably through the legislators. We've already touched out through through your community, your chamber. The Monday Morning Working Group has been back talking to the leaders in D.C., legislators. The MQ-1 Predator has been out of production now for 2 years and is slated to be parked in about 2018, 2019. The 163rd has not been announced with a follow-on mission, and in fact has been told unofficially that they would be the last to convert into the MQ-9, the follow-on airplane. It's something that needs to be addressed, and quickly, because the MQ-1s are attriting. They'll go away sooner than later, and frankly, in my new role in the state, I'll be doing probably a large part of my day's business working to make sure that follow-on mission does occur. The MQ-9 is, if you're not familiar with it, is a much more capable airplane. It has the architecture on board that will allow us to fly in the States, and that architecture is what the FAA requires to make sure that we're not a risk to any air traffic. And of course, the benefit for you as a taxpayer and as a citizen of California is we can now take an MQ-9, put it over a fire, flood, or an earthquake, locate survivors, help law enforcement, help firefighters. So that's all the reasons for the MQ-9 being a valuable tool for you at March. One last thing, just on RPAs. RPA is remotely piloted aircraft. The media prefers drone. A drone is something I used to shoot at when I flew an F-4. It's an autonomous airplane. It's run by a computer. Our airplanes, the 163rd airplanes, are not autonomous. They fly just like a regular airplane. It just so happens the pilot is not located in the airplane. The media has really kind of grabbed onto this spying on Americans and assassinating Americans with missiles in domestic airspace, and honestly, I hope that you don't listen to that stuff. It is pure nonsense. Our mission, the 163rd's mission overseas, is to protect the troops on the ground, and they do an exceptional job, and they will continue to do that. One other quick item, you've heard the KC-46 may be bandied around as a possible for March. The first round of selecting bases where it may apply has been completed. March was not in that first round, which is not a kiss of death. It is entirely possible that March would be considered later on. The KC-46 is the replacement for the KC-135, which is now over 50 years old, and it pairs up very well with March's capability, infrastructure. It would be an ideal match. And I'm only speaking to this as a guardsman because it would probably be an associate with the reserves here if it ever came about. But it's something that you as taxpayers, once again, would probably see a great efficiency from, and it's something that I hope the legislators are going to keep pushing for March. Well, I think that's kind of it on what I wanted to give you on the update. Cindy, how am I doing? Am I still under the wire here? Have I got 2 more minutes? I'd like to take a second just to introduce. We had a board to select my successor on Sunday, and I'd like to just give you just 2 seconds on a bio on him. He's was a guard liaison in Istres, France, Provence, France. That's where I first met him. He was under great strain there, I'm sure. But yeah. But he did an awesome job. I got to know him, and I got to realize his skill set. He elected to come out to California in 2000 and applied for my chief of safety position. Was hired, did an awesome job as a safety officer, and then when we were bracked in 2005, he became my project officer for conversion from the 135 to the Predator, and obviously did a very, very good job at that. He was most recently the was the operations group's commander. He was also the operations group commander deployed to Incirlik Air Base, and did a fantastic job from there. He's a graduate of the University of Nebraska. I'll bet he's got a red T-shirt underneath his uniform. Good luck. Yeah, hopefully he'll become California at some point. Once I'd like to introduce Colonel Dana Hesheimer as the new wing commander for the 163rd Reconnaissance Wing. I'll hop off stage, but just personally for me, I've been at March since 1982. My ties to the community have obviously grown over the years. I have a great many friends sitting out here in this audience right now. I'm going to miss you, but I'm not very far away. And obviously, if the tag is not going to be healthy, I may be here a lot. But anyway, thank you very much for the associations, the partnership. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you soon.